Hey, and welcome back. There's a big story making waves in Washington, one that's stirring a lot of emotion, confusion, and debate. President Trump's administration has officially started laying off federal workers even as the government remains partially shut down. Yeah, you heard that right. Layoffs during a shutdown. Let's unpack what's really going on here, why it's happening now, and what it could mean for millions of Americans. So, here's the situation. On October 10th, the White House announced that it has begun what's known as reductions in force, or RIFs. That's the government's term for permanent layoffs. Reports say these layoffs are already taking place across several agencies, including the Departments of Commerce, Treasury, Education, Health and Human Services, and Homeland Security. It's still not clear exactly how many workers are being affected, but some have reportedly been given 30 to 60 days notice before their jobs officially end. Now, doing layoffs during a government shutdown is extremely unusual, and legally, it's raising a lot of eyebrows. Under federal law, when Congress hasn't approved funding, agencies basically go into a kind of freeze mode. They're not supposed to make financial commitments or spend money they don't have appropriated. That's part of what's called the Antideficiency Act. So critics are saying, wait a minute, how can you fire people, process paperwork, and issue payouts if you're not even funded to operate? Unions representing federal employees have already started pushing back, filing lawsuits that claim the administration is breaking the law. They argue the layoffs are not only unauthorized but arbitrary and capricious. That's legal speak for you can't just do this because you want to. What's even more controversial is that some agencies reportedly received warnings not to move forward with layoffs during the shutdown, but the administration is pressing ahead anyway. And here's where it gets interesting. The Trump team has long talked about shrinking the size of the federal government. Remember Project 2025? It's a conservative blueprint that outlines how to overhaul and dramatically reduce the federal workforce. Many observers believe this move is part of that broader agenda, an effort to reshape Washington and cut down on what Trump has often called wasteful bureaucracy. Now, some people see this as decisive leadership, finally tackling what they see as an overgrown federal system. Others see it as reckless, even cruel, especially during a shutdown when thousands of workers are already furloughed or working without pay. What do you think? Should the government be cutting staff during a shutdown, or is this just bad timing? It's important to remember that behind all the headlines are real people. Many of these federal workers have spent decades in public service. They have families, mortgages, and long-term careers built around stability. One Environmental Protection Agency worker told reporters the situation feels dehumanizing and traumatic. Imagine waking up not knowing whether your paycheck will come or whether your job will even exist in a few weeks. That's a tough spot to be in. On the other hand, supporters of the move argue that this is exactly what the federal government needs, a leaner, more efficient system that puts taxpayers first. They say it's about accountability, performance, and bringing private sector-style discipline to public service. But again, is this the right way to do it? During a shutdown? Let's also talk about what happens next. Several lawsuits are already making their way through the courts, and judges could potentially block the layoffs, at least temporarily. If that happens, the administration might have to pause or reverse some of these moves. Congress could also step in, through hearings or budget negotiations, to put political pressure on the White House. And if the shutdown eventually ends, some agencies might even try to rehire those who are laid off, depending on what the courts decide. But for now, the uncertainty is massive. The layoffs could affect everything from processing tax refunds and education grants to public health research and cybersecurity operations. It's not just about jobs. It's about how efficiently the government can function when so many roles are suddenly gone. And this raises a bigger question for all of us. How much government do we actually need? Do you think Washington has become too big and bloated? Or do we risk breaking essential services by cutting too deep, too fast? It's one of those debates that always comes up in politics, but now it's hitting people in a very real way. At the heart of it, this moment feels like a test, not just of law or policy, but of leadership. Can the administration push through these cuts without breaking federal law? Will Congress or the courts step in? And how will this shape public trust in government for years to come? Whatever happens, one thing's for sure. This story is far from over. The coming weeks will show whether these layoffs stick, get blocked, or spark an even bigger showdown between the White House, federal workers, and lawmakers on Capitol Hill. So, what's your take on all of this? Are these layoffs a necessary step toward reform, or an unnecessary attack on public servants? Do you think the courts will intervene? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, share it with someone who follows US politics, and subscribe for more updates as this story develops. Thanks so much for watching. Stay informed, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.